Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I might like the president of Türkiye, Erdogan, in some ways. I like his boldness and his way of promoting his nation's interest and his interest as well. His determination, his intelligence, cunningness. But I think he's wrong on this one, or at least not wrong, because I can't say what's wrong for whatever he is the elected official of his nation. Therefore, he knows better, I hope, what's good for his nation. But from my perspective, I think I'm against this, which is freedom of speech, freedom of expression. I would allow that to a much greater extent than he. And Erdogan said that Sweden should not expect to join NATO anytime soon. And okay, I say, all right, it's between you two guys, Sweden and Türkiye. But the problem is, I have another article where, according to that article, Erdogan gives us the reason why, and I totally disagree with that reason. I think that is a tyrannical reason, and I can't agree with that. And from that, you can jump in something else. It's about freedom of speech and freedom of expression that you might not like, but that's freedom of speech. Not everybody should tell you that you're fantastic and the best they ever had. All right, so we have this article coming from Associated Press. Turkey's Erdogan says Sweden shouldn't expect to join NATO anytime soon. So it doesn't say here why, but it says that because the Nordic nation has not fully addressed his security concerns, his countries, not his. Sweden and Finland applied for membership. Okay, NATO wants to bring Sweden into the fold, and they try to do everything they can, including blackmailing, I think. Hungary, I just made a video on that, where US blackmails, one US senator blocks something for the Hungarians, unless they ratify Sweden's bid to join NATO. Now that's a blackmail, and what US has to do with Sweden and Hungary's bilateral relations and problems. The problem is between Sweden and Hungary, not between Hungary, Sweden and the United States of America. But that gives you a little window, I would say big window, to see who's behind all this and how things are conducted in the international arena on a rule-based world that the United States tries to impose on everybody else. That is, you do what I tell you, I do whatever I want. So here we have this article, and it doesn't tell us here exactly why. It says concerned about terrorist organizations. This is what they say. Erdogan said the Turkish delegation at the meeting will give this message. This is our president's opinion. Don't expect anything different at Vilnius. This is Erdogan said, the Turkish delegation. So let's go to the second article, which is more juicy, or juicier. Juicy Smollett, if you know that one, with, what's his name? Can't remember the comedian's name. Anyway, here we have this, yeah, that's Dave Chappelle, if you know Juicy Smollett, the French guy. Watch that, it's funny as hell. Reuters, Turkey won't, they don't go to Türkiye. That's because they already changed the name, but they don't go because they're as they are. Want back Swedish NATO bid unless it stops anti-Turkish protests. Erdogan, I disagree with this. I disagree with that. If people don't like you because they have a mustache, they have the right to do that. If they don't like Turkey because they're idiots, they should be entitled to do that. It shouldn't be like, what, you expect the government to go and beat them up because they say we don't like Turkey because we think you're a tyrant, even if you're not or you are. They should have the right to express that publicly. Sweden should not expect a green light from Ankara on its NATO membership bid at the Western Alliance summit next month unless it prevents anti-Turkish protests, in Stockholm. Turkish President Erdogan was quoted as saying on Wednesday. So Turkey cannot approach Sweden's NATO bid positively, while terrorists, according to them, were protesting in Stockholm, and Turkey's position would be made clear once again in talks with Swedish officials in Ankara on Wednesday. Erdogan was quoted as telling reporters on a flight returning from Azerbaijan on Tuesday. So he calls them terrorists, but what if they're not terrorists? Let's say it's some Swedish people just saying we disagree with that. Are they allowed, Mr. Erdogan? What do you think? So, in justifying its objections to Swedish membership, Turkey has accused Stockholm of harboring members of Kurdish militant groups it considers to be terrorists. Well, that's I would say that is a legitimate concern. But the other one, I disagree with it. If this is true, And commenting on Sweden's recent legal changes, Erdogan said, I'm quoting, "This is not only a matter of a law amendment or a constitutional change. What is the job of the police there? They have legal and constitutional rights. They should exercise their rights. The police should prevent these," and in parentheses, protests. Now, again, let's talk about it because, this is Associated Press, and they are, as you saw, they started with the name of Türkiye as Turkey. So that tells you they are against this guy from a get-go. Or at least that's offensive. Be kind. How about that? Tolerant. If I want to be called chicken, please call me chicken. Okay, if you want to be called fried chicken, be called fried chicken. Respect. Remember? Not earn respect. Just, I tell you to respect me, you gotta. If I call myself Napoleon, you're gonna call me Napoleon. What if I call myself God? What are you gonna do then? Or what if I call myself your boss? What are you gonna do then? What I identify as your boss? Or let's say I identify myself as your mom or your dad. Then what? Well, that's why this is an idiocracy here. So here, I disagree with that. With Erdogan saying protest against Turkey, or well, now if you have so-called, as he calls them, terrorist groups protesting, again, I think they should be allowed if they don't break the Swedish law. If those guys over there, those groups are not under the Swedish law considered terrorists and they protest, now you can ask the Swedes to say, okay, go check it out and find out if those groups are terrorists, if they qualify. Now, if Sweden says, no, they don't qualify, let's have a conversation, a discussion, maybe with some other arbiters, and let's discuss and see if those guys really qualify. Because if they qualify, I don't think Sweden wants to have a terrorist organization on its territory. Therefore, it's beneficial for the Swedes to see if it's true. Bring me your evidence. Now, on the other hand, if there's no evidence, I mean, you should know you have the definition of terrorism. Give me the names. Let's find out what happened and figure out if that's an organization. If there's a terrorist organization in Sweden, Sweden should, ban it and all that. But you can't just say, well, if those guys that you don't consider terrorists, which I don't know if they are or not, have a little, a protest, you should ban the protest. I don't like many things that you are saying, Erdogan. Doesn't mean that you should be banned from talking. Let's say, right? The Swedes can say. And that goes with other things like free speech and being offensive. I know that burning books could be offensive to some, but on the other hand, their books could be offensive to me. Unless you think that your books are perfect, therefore I'm the evil one, which I see the other way around. You can impose something on me. Talking about burning certain kind of books. So I disagree with that. Hey, you should ban people who express a stupid opinion on burning someone else's something. Because, for instance, for some, the fact that you wear those jeans are offensive. Or wear no jeans and you go with Speedos is offensive. What should we do? Ban it? I mean, if we go like this, I don't like you, should I ban you? You don't like me, you should ban me? I mean, basically. So the burning of stuff, allow them to burn whatever, freedom of speech. And if you're threatened, well, back to why are you threatened now? Remember when you used to deny certain kind of things and you burned on the stake? Well, I don't want to get there. It seems like Europe gets that way right now. If you do something that some other people find it offensive, or I can use other definitions, blasphemous, then they should be what? Banned? Well, I find blasphemous the fact that you are doing that. So why not I am the right one? So no, it's murky things, and always threatening people with violence is a bad thing. Why? Because maybe the other side is going to be stronger than you, and they're just going to do this, and then you're going to go again to what? Oh my God, look what they did. So be tolerant. Tolerance means don't try to impose on others what you want to be imposed on. And if they don't want that to be imposed on them, call it you are intolerant. You are intolerant because you try to impose something on them, and if they don't cave in, you call them intolerant. But you are intolerant by trying to impose that. That's it's a clear-cut thing for me. It's just that you can't really express it because you have people who use this more than this, and then you got a problem. And unfortunately, the Renaissance occurred a few hundred years ago, and the Greeks started with logic, 2,500 years ago or so, but some people are still trying to grasp with this kind of ideals and ideas, let's put it this way, of freedom of speech. You do your thing, I can insult you, you can insult me. Remember, unless you think you're pure, you don't hurt anybody. And then when you say, well, you insult me, you are offensive to me, you think that you are not offensive to anyone. Because if someone says, you are offensive to me, what would you do? Your answer would be, when I don't do anything. That means you are pure, which you are not. So come down from your fantastic position that you think you have. Be humble, as they all say over there in that little group, right? And come down and be an accepting, inclusive. Remember? Inclusive. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So here we have Erdogan. I disagree with that kind of banning. You have to ban this if they criticize me. Unless they're terrorists. If they're terrorists, we'll figure out if they are or not. I would start with that one. And if they're not, by the Swedish law, Erdogan, sorry. And then Erdogan said, sorry too. You can come into NATO. So how are you going to figure things out? Well, maybe the Americans are going to start their diplomacy. They already tried the threats, the blackmail, and the regime change. So the last, and I think in a little covert way, they start a fourth diplomatic tool the US has, and that is real intervention on the country. But the regime change over there in Turkey was already tried in 2016. I think they already reached the fourth diplomatic tool of the US, so they're done out of aces. Maybe if Erdogan catches a cold and the cold turns into cancer, and then in a month he goes and see Allah, I don't know how things will change over there. The people love him, voted for him. That's the Turks' decision. We, outsiders, should respect that, as we expect them to respect our where am I guy in office over there, who should just say, you know what, I got to go, bye-bye. But he doesn't. That's could be considered criminal when you are not good for the job, but you're still over there. You're going to destroy an institution, a country, with lack of your abilities anymore, that we all can see. But that turns into something else now. Related to a certain extent, each country should have the right to do and conduct its own business the way they want. The problem here with Sweden is that they want something that Turkey can say no. But they will bypass that because the rules are there to be, and they will be. Sweden will be part of NATO under a different name and will have everything but Article 5 probably, which Article 5 will not be implemented, like written down and agreed upon, but will be known that if Russia or anybody else attacks Sweden, everybody else will gonna jump, or at least United States will gonna make everybody go and fight. The coalition of the good. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.